I feel a burp coming on. Can't quite get there though. There you go, Andrea.
There you go.
All right. Well,
lady.
Yeah, suck on that, patriarchy.
I'll show you a mean girl.
Stand by. Going to air.
Stand by, Phil.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
All aboard! And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Turn to page 394.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
That is so fetch.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and die.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Where's my super suit?
Hey, Fat Lard, come get some dinner.
Well,
I am not drinking any f***ing Merlot.
And I'm gonna try to forget the fact that you're a girl. But dogs can look up.
Oh, durga.
you tell me when I saw this woman?
This is the Polar Express.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
and we are coming to you from just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have just watched and recorded our episode on Miracle, and as usual, we sit together afterwards to discuss another film over another beer. So we refer to these episodes as our happy hour episodes.
Hey, you guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
On this happy hour, we are covering the movie that spawned the happy hour clip that we use for happy hour. It's very meta.
Oh, it's happening.
And we will be discussing 2004's Mean Girls.
Hey, you guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Before that, though, as we talked about in our season premiere episode, we are changing up the lineup a bit. So we are going to start, though, instead of a Drinking Buddies, with the revived segment that we call High Fidelity.
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
Each episode, we take a couple of minutes to offer up some top 5 rankings in different categories that typically spawn from our subject films. Since Mean Girls takes place in a high school, we're going to offer up our top 5 high school comedies of all time. Tim, why don't you go first on this one?
I'm very excited because this number 5 for me is one we'll be watching later this year.
Really?
Napoleon Dynamite.
Wow.
Yes, it's amazing, and I can't wait to watch it again. But considering the other ones that are top 1 through 4, Napoleon Dynamite was my 5th choice.
My number 5 movie is actually one we're not going to be covering this year, but I do love it, and that is Saved.
Sure.
I love that movie. We're not going to cover it this year if you've never seen it before. I love that, like, just the sort of, and I guess we'll have a little bit of a theme here in a little bit, but I love that movie. Just the sort of teen pregnancy and the religious sort of back and forth on it. Yeah, I love that. So I have Saved as my number 5. I'm sure most people are like, what movie is that?
What?
Yeah, I love it, though.
Number 4 for me is American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a dumb and wonderful movie that seemed to like elevate a genre that had become so terrible for so long.
Yeah, especially for, yep.
And it was somewhat of like a serendipitous time of like when it came out, and my college buddies and I enjoyed it, and like, oh, it just was, yeah, maybe I'm biased, but I love it.
Yeah, I guess we are a little biased, but that's fine. It's the same reason the generation before us talks about Fast Times. Like, I just, I agree. But my number 4 is, checks notes, American Pie.
Nice.
Like, no, I think it is. It is one of those, like, I would say for our generation, it is a seminal sort of movie of just, I remember being in the Chanhassen movie theater and just watching that for multiple reasons. I remember watching it, but we'll leave that off this. And so you just go, but it is, I think what we've talked about with many movies before, so many movies get sort of made fun of or parodied after the fact. And the fact that you're parodied after the fact, whether it be Forrest Gump or whatever, this movie is parodied many times after.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's because it's legitimately funny.
Yes.
And that's what's forgotten in it. No, it's absolutely wonderful. I love American Pie. Not that it shows anything about the high school, but it's just, it takes place in high school.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is Clueless.
Oh.
Dear God. What a freaking classic.
It is a classic. I'm not even sure I even consider Clueless. There's so many high school,
right?
Kind of like the sports movies. There's just too many to sort of consider.
So
all
Clueless
right.
to me. Oh, it is.
Oh, it's a great
phenomenal.
movie. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I have one we've talked off air about, but I have a special place in my heart for The Girl Next Door.
Oh yeah,
I love
2004.
that movie.
Yep,
2004.
Yep.
I don't know why. I think initially I was like, "Is it a high school movie?" I'm like, "No, it is. Their senior year. It's all about moving on."
Yep.
I love Timothy Olyphant with a passion that I don't think I could describe, and he's good in that movie. Elijah Cuthbert.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Like, it is, I just love that movie. I think it makes me laugh every time. Yeah. I kind of like, Clueless to me has more iconic scenes.
Sure.
For sure. But for me, I have more nostalgia with Girl Next Door.
Well, Girl Next Door is like one of those absurd premises where, like, what if a porn star moves in next door? And you go, this is dumb.
Yeah, and yet
it has no business.
There's no business being as good as it.
It's so dang good.
Yep. And then a young Paul Dano, like, come on,
right?
Yeah.
Gosh. Number 2 for me is Dazed and Confused.
Okay. All right.
Because we talked about it in the pod last year. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
In terms of that capturing the vibe and the experience, it's just a classic for me. What you got?
I have no, it's not my same. I have Juno.
Ooh,
because I couldn't quite like. It takes place in high school, and I'm not even sure they're in high school a little bit.
Yeah,
but they don't really like. It's not a high school movie. I wasn't sure. I had that or another movie that isn't even my number 1.
Sure.
But like I had another movie that I was like, either I'm going to slide this other movie in or I'm going to put Juno. And the other movie was Superbad.
Yep.
And I was like, I just don't know. So I went with Juno because A, it's a better film. But also I went with Juno at number 2.
It's great. Speaking of Superbad.
Ah, did you?
Number 1?
Number 1?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. It's so freaking incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible.
So
that's why I was like...
McLovin?
I know. I felt bad about keeping it out of my top 5, but I was kind of like, oh man.
Yeah, that's one that I think of. If I'm gonna like sit down and like watch a teen comedy, Superbad for me.
I agree. I love Superbad. I don't know why I kept it out, but maybe it was because I had other sort of like raunchy comedies in there. I don't even know. Dazed and Confused is my number 1.
Nice,
because it's not even close.
I figured.
To me, it was like, oh, okay. The reason why I asked this question, I was kind of like, if I'm going to ask a high school comedy question or whatever, it's Dazed and Confused.
Nice work.
All right. Well, as mentioned, we are going to be discussing our recent rewatch of Mean Girls. The film follows Katie, I guess, Heron, as she sets out on her first adventure into the hectic world of high school after her family moves to Chicago from Africa. Katie immediately gets thrust into navigating cliques such as the jocks, nerds, sexually active band geeks, and the dreaded plastics. The plastics are the popular girls who run the school through judgment and fear and are led by the cruel Regina George. Katie eventually finds her niche, but after being betrayed by Regina, she seeks out revenge that comes with a cost, becoming popular herself. The film is directed by Mark Waters, adapted by Tina Fey, and stars Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams, Lizzie Kaplan, Lacey Chabert, Jonathan Bennett, Tina Fey, and Tim Meadows.
What's happening?
An evil takes a human form in Regina George. Don't be fooled, because she may seem like your typical selfish, backstabbing, slut-faced hoe bag, but in reality, she is so much more than that.
She's the queen bee, the star. Those other two are just her little workers.
Regina George. How do I even begin to explain Regina George?
Regina George is flawless.
She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair is insured for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
One time she met John Stamos on a plane, and he told her she was pretty.
One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. We'll change it up for the happy hour, right? So our next segment is one, I guess, is our usual first at this point, which is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my fucking beer.
Where we present the 4 beers that we had, 2 for each of us, since we watched these separately, and give our expert drinking ratings. I think I'll go first on this.
Cool. What you got?
Well, no, actually, I will go second, because we're going to end up talking about that lemonade beer.
Let's do that.
Yeah, so I need to go first.
I had Castle Danger out of
Castle
northern Minnesota.
Yeah, out of Castle Danger, Minnesota. That's fine.
That's
good.
Yeah. Their West Coast IPA is kind of like a winter multi-pack option. It's 3.75 for me. It was a nice
This is
option.
just West Coast IPA?
Yeah, West Coast IPA.
Love it. Nice.
Very simple. Well done. Very enjoyable. 3.75. And then I had the same company, Castle Danger. Again, multi-pack.
Also out of Castle Danger, Minnesota.
Oh my gosh, that's so
weird. Isn't that weird?
Their cream ale, which is their standard, but they have a coffee variant. Coffee cream ale. 3.5 for me. They do a lot of like their cream ales and like different flavor varieties around it because it's kind of like a base, if you will.
Their cream ale's fine.
Yeah. It smells really good. The flavor of coffee is like meh. So it's like a 3.5. It's not bad. It's not great. It was just mid for me.
Sure.
So 3.5. Yeah.
Is it Indeed that has the pistachio cream ale that you love?
Yes.
Is that where it's from? Okay.
That's what I love. That's the best. But yeah.
Well, my 2 buddies, Tim has also had, so we'll talk about a little bit of both of them. Out of Little Thistle Brewing Company from Rochester, Minnesota. The Wetlands DDH Hazy IPA with Citra, Mosaic, and Sultana hops. 4.5% ABV. I thought it was a really solid hazy IPA.
It was
especially when you come in that light ABV. You didn't try and bring it in at 6 or 7 or anything like that. I had 4 out of 5 on that one. Totally crushable. I would happily buy another 4-pack of that for like $15. Totally crushable.
Very good.
It's maybe not a great winter hazy IPA. Like that would be a really good spring one, but whatever. And then out of Vale, or the Vale Brewing Company, out of Richmond, Virginia, one that I had never heard of until we were at the liquor store, and I saw some 4-packs of their IPA and double IPA that were $22 a piece for 4-packs, and I was like, who the hell do you think you are?
What?
Well, let's get back to that. I don't even know what to call this. Is it Yellow Lamble?
Yellow Lambs? Lamble?
I think it's Lamble, Lambl. So Yellow Lamble Lemonade Sour brewed with lemons and milk sugar.
Yep.
Again, 4.5% ABV. My immediate note when I was watching Mean Girls was this might be on my year-end best of list for sours.
It's really good.
It is unreal.
It's really
I have 4.5 out of 5.
Me too.
And it is like a limoncello, lemon like lollipop. I don't even know how to, you could easily finish a full. I finished a full last night. It did feel a little bit like like it was pretty sour, but not like over the top. I think that milk sugar helps
a really
there.
Good tart.
Holy cow! It was like,
and
where I had it separately, and I texted Tim, and I was like, can you go to the same liquor store? Because you're going to want to try this.
This is, it's really good. And the smell is incredible. Like, I don't know that I could have a, like, equal kind of, like, lemon sour. It's really effing good.
It's like it's almost like a melted lemon slushy. I don't even know how to describe it. I want more of it. Like, I was like, if this is how they make their sour, I'm tempted to go buy those double IPAs at $22 a 4-pack. Because I'm like, you must do something pretty
You're doing
well.
something right. Exactly.
All right, so we're also enjoying another beer. What do we got, Tim?
We have out of Denver, Colorado, Crooked Staves Sour Rosé. Their fruited sour ale with raspberries and blueberries, which, in honor of the movie,
this is
the
why it was
label
picked.
is
Yep.
super pink.
And the drink is also pink.
If you hold it up, it's very pink.
If you hold it up to the light,
it is.
It's still pretty pink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although it's not Wednesday, so it's tough. But yeah.
Oh,
Wednesday.
On Wednesday we were pink.
Yeah, but it's I think it's a 4.25 for me. I love this beer. I've had it in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
And it's just a solid, good sour, like 4.5, like ABV, and it's just delicious flavors. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm always hit or miss on Crooked's Dave. It's kind of like locally here with Wild Mind Brewing. They can kind of be that sort of like wild fermentation stuff.
Sure.
This is really good. I have 425 as well. It's I'm not sure given the time of day it is, I'll finish it necessarily.
Sure.
But it's actually really good.
Yep.
All right. Well, then our next segment is the social network,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception for 20 years ago. As usual, Tim is nice enough to research these, so please take it away, Tim.
The IMDb rating is 7.1 out of 10. Caroline Westbrook of Empire Magazine said, "There's nothing here you won't have seen a million times before. But despite its shortcomings, Mean Girls is still one of the better teen movies to come along in a while." Marriott and Ingman of Austin Chronicle said, "One might expect this click comedy to have some bite. It does in moments, yet not enough to elevate Mean Girls above the pack of teen fare." Roger Ebert give it 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4?
3 out of 4. In a wasteland of dumb movies about teenagers, Mean Girls is a smart and funny one. The screenplay by Saturday Night Live's Tina Fey dissects high school society with a lot of observant detail. That's both a comic and sociological achievement. Director Mark Waters avoids amazing numbers of cliches that most teenage comedies cannot seem to do without. And when there are character misunderstandings, they're understandable and not manufactured plot contrivances.
Jeez.
And in the middle of all of this is Lindsay Lohan, who has a quiet self-confidence, which never allows the character to tilt into caricature. Academy Awards that year was no nomination.
Yeah, there's a big shock.
Yep.
All right, well, with the beers and reviews out of the way, that brings us to Spotlight,
They knew, and they let it happen.
our reaction segment where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. Do you want to go first? I can go first. I don't even know.
You can go first.
All right. My biggest takeaway from this film and rewatching it, and it's actually been a while since I've rewatched
Me
this
too.
film.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Regina George is still to this day an absolute trash demon of a human being.
She's so horrible.
As such, Rachel McAdams is outstanding as Regina.
She's really
but Regina George is just horrifying. Like, if I met a Regina George, I also would break down crying and also somehow be impressed at the fact that she just made me break down crying. Yeah, I guess I had forgotten because of the, I don't even know, like, sort of social, like, sort of Regina George-ness of, but
she can't have been that bad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
I want to punch her in the face every time
Yes.
she opens her mouth.
Yes.
She deserved to get hit by that bus.
I'll talk about that.
Anyway, we'll get back. But that was my
Yes.
first takeaway. I was like a quarter of the way through, and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait till you get hit by the bus.
I totally forgot.
We can
she
come
did.
back to her,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just that was my first takeaway. I was like, if anything comes from this movie, it's that Regina George still to this day is a trash demon of a person.
Well, I think it's funny watching this with the hindsight, but also recognizing in so many ways we're not the primary demographic
No,
for the film.
right.
And so while I would say I do think it's a different, yet at times hits the same beats, kind of like teen comedy.
Yeah.
It has a respectful balance of a biting critique of female teenage years with an appreciation that's like a universal and formative experience. I watched it with my wife, Ellen, and while I think the film is just kind of okay overall, she loved it.
Oh, really? Nice.
It was so great watching her like in the middle of
Was
the
she off her phone the whole time, or
she doesn't watch me. No. When movies that are engaging for her, she's not on the phone. If it's our movies, she's like, oh,
Right.
whatever. No, she was like, I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that's again, you're the primary demographic,
Right.
Not me. So I think it's like a whole thing of I'll critique it through the lens of I got a penis, so I'm not the primary demographic, but it's so
and
fun.
It's glorious.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's so great. Like she loved it.
Yeah,
and so it was nice to have that experience. But I agree, it's a different kind of comedy. Overall, was fine in hindsight, but it's been a long time, and I could have like done with some parts without it. But it definitely is something. But
it drags a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, it does. But I think it's great you talk about Regina George. She's so horrible. So,
oh my God.
But it's a great villain of sorts. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then again, Ellen's like, oh yeah, there's definitely many of girls that would be like that.
Still are.
And I was like,
yeah,
yikes.
still are. I hear from my kid. Yeah, I think kind of piggyback on that is one thing for me is that aside from some key lines that are still pretty iconic in some ways and funny and quotable, and in my opinion, when Tim Meadows just randomly shows up with a broken hand, grabs a bat and goes out into the hallway.
Definitely carpal tunnel.
Yeah, but just like, he's just like, everything about Tim Meadows is so random. And then at the end, when he's just like, nobody really gives a speech here. Again, it's more ceremonial. Like that. There's some really great moments along the way.
Exactly.
For me, it's not a comedy, but I will give this movie credit of saying it's funny at times, but I think it's an enjoyable movie. Mm-hmm. I think in the end, you get there and you're kind of like, oh, I enjoyed my hour and 45 minutes or whatever it was, along the way.
Yeah.
The timeline is garbage. There is no real like flow whatsoever in terms of the story. But I mean, I enjoy it as well. So kind of coming off of that too. Like, I mean, it's again, I'm not here going for, I can't relate to that from high school.
No.
But that's a good thing.
No.
I mean, it's a good thing that I'm not your primary demographic, kind of like Clueless in those movies. Like, I'm not your demographic of this. So let's embrace it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I do think Tina Fey's script is really good.
Oh, that's my next point. Yep.
And that's like, it's laugh out loud funny at times. It has some moments of like some weight to it. And it's a great starting point of what you can see from her and her writing that would flourish in like 30 Rock.
Yeah.
And
or Baby Mama. And,
yes. Like I really like watching it and like the side comments and like.
Oh, and those backhand, like those under breath comments are so well done.
And she's really good in the movie.
She is good.
And so I think it's a nice thing to think, and I love me some SNL, that she is it's a great recognition of the script that she wrote from this. So I like her with work in this.
No, I think she's a treasure of a writer. I think you have, I make no, qualms about it. Like 30 Rock for me is a top 5 sitcom of all time. So I love it. It's a bit dated, but I still don't mind. And she brings an understanding of the world at large, but also this like nuanced take of in the moment, this is not a big deal. Like this is not like a life-changing event for somebody, but it can still be funny.
Yes.
The assembly scene of all the junior girls or whatever together in there is so well done. Everything about that scene is great. In my opinion, and we do kind of talk about Oscars or whatever, to me, if Bridesmaids can be nominated for an Oscar, this movie, from an adapted screenplay standpoint, having not read Queen Bees and Wannabes, this is a terrific screenplay.
It is really good.
The movie maybe doesn't deliver on all of what was on the page.
Sure.
But I imagine reading the screenplay just in some of the things that are just biting commentary, like funny about, and also slapstick.
Yeah.
But again, if Bridesmaids can get there, I feel like Mean Girls a few years on could have really been even more culturally something.
Yes.
But no, Tina Fey's outstanding.
So good. So I guess when I watch this again, it is a thing where I think about, and maybe I'm like enjoying it, but also quibbles. So we'll kind of balance some of these. There's no way that a homeschooled kid has that much personality like Lindsay Lohan does. So we've met a few. We have them in our family. Like homeschooling to me is such a kudos to those. I'm not criticizing, but I'm also recognizing there's no way that character has that much personality and can come in. Like, I like the aspect of a outside presence coming in,
but I will say the one benefit is that they made her homeschooled, but in Africa.
That is
you end up in a
caveat.
different,
yes, like completely foreign.
She's not just in some suburb of Chicago and ending up in. She's experiencing the world,
yes,
and then bringing that back.
Yes.
So it's not that she was homeschooled and stayed at home. She was homeschooled, but had interactions with other people.
Yes,
in a worldview standpoint.
But I do
give again Tina Fey credit, and maybe Queen Bees and Wannabes. It could be in the book,
could be,
but that is a key difference of that homeschool.
And it's like that's.
But I agree with you in the terms of
you go
okay.
There's no way.
Yeah,
she has so much personality. But the best part is yes, because she was homeschooled abroad in that area. I like the application of her thinking from a tribal lens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In this aspect.
And there's almost they need more of those.
And that's what's great about it. Like it pivots these things where these, natural, instinctual things that would come together, they can shoehorn it into the high school experience and it works.
Yeah.
That's what's nice about it. Like the watering hole at the mall.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I know how this would be handled in the jungle or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I don't have too many other points because I was just kind of like, how do you go too deep on Mean Girls?
Phrasing.
I think what cracks me up about this and other high school movies is that whenever there's a talent show, it is the talent show is always the most unrealistic thing that has ever existed on film.
Totally.
Anytime a major movie comes up with, there's one exception, and that's Napoleon Dynamite, which we're talking about later this year. But even that's a little over the top because of the dance and stuff.
It's
but at least those are awkward.
Yes.
But like About a Boy has this too, where there's like some rapping DJ or whatever, and he does a break dance, and then you got a band who's really good. You got Love Actually with like the greatest in band ever to exist with this like great girl. Whenever there's a talent show on film, it is like, this is not America's Got Talent.
No.
They are not this good. Stop it.
Yes.
Like, there is nothing about that talent show, and then you got their performance and like what was it? Jingle Bell Rock, right? Like, oh my God, it's so awkward and whorish, and just like every time there's some sort
talent
of
is relative.
Talent show, it's like, this doesn't exist in the real world. Stop it.
I know.
Yeah. And no administrator would let that happen.
I know. Like, there's no vet
in this one, nothing.
Yes.
Like,
no, you're like, okay, that's absurd. And that's where I feel like some of the stuff I like about this movie is great in the buildup, but then the payoff struggles at times. So to that whole thing, like the trust fall apology scene is just so far-fetched to me. I think about, sure, it's a nice idealized view of, wouldn't it be great if petty teenagers just overcame their differences and problems by like self-exploration and talking to each other? And you go, okay, that's not a real thing.
Right.
That's not happening. So I have so many great affinities for this movie. And then there's times I'm like, okay, I don't know how you would do it differently. So nothing to discredit Tina Fey.
Right.
But you go, okay, the talent show. And then the trust fall scene. And the assembly, which is great at times. And really,
when Tim Meadows is like, I will keep you here all night. We can't keep him past 4. I will keep you here till 4.
Just, and so, I think there's some elements from like, meh. And what I also struggle with is like that apology element where if we follow the logic of, I don't know her character's name, Lizzie Kaplan's like
Janice.
She befriends this new girl.
Yeah.
And basically tells her, you should be my spy.
Yes.
You're new.
Yeah, who's mean here? Janice?
Right?
Yes.
And
Janice uses her too.
Exactly. And then they have a blow up. And then there's no like coming together, like apology from Janice. It's really on Katie's element of like, I'm so sorry, or these kind of things. Like, I'm sorry, you were a newbie coming in, and this established presence in the school forced you to do these things. I just feel like, again, I'm probably overthinking it.
No, I don't think you are. Because I think
it just doesn't land
just
well.
As a parent or whatever, I would look at that and go, no, you used this chick. You absolutely used her.
And to have a like connection again, to like be friends again, like maybe both should apologize.
Both should.
But Katie was in the wrong, and she's the one apologizing.
Yeah.
And like Janice is like, whatevs.
Yeah.
We're friends now. And I'm like, okay. Maybe you can acknowledge the fact of like you were pretty manipulative too. So I was like, nah. That I struggled with.
Yeah, it didn't quite work.
No.
I have a couple random thoughts that I just said at the end, but what do you have for...
I was thinking the bus scene with Regina, so dumb. Like,
oh, it's totally dumb.
Come on.
She'd be dead
exactly
10 out of 10 times.
Whatever. I do like the voiceover, like, and that's how Regina George died. No, not really. But I will just, well, maybe it's a thought you have, but I wanted to talk about Tim Meadows. Just a final piece of, thank God he's in this movie.
Yeah.
It'd be fine with everything else. But Tim Meadows, as the principal,
he brings that dry humor to it. Yep,
incredible in everything he does with this. So anyway, that was my last thought with him. Well, second last thought, but yeah.
Well, my only two other thoughts is, number one is, how long has Pink been around?
Yes,
I was like, I know we're old, I get it, and it's been 20 years, but God as a DJ is on this, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yes,
like what? I had no idea. I was like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay. But really, I was like, what kind of state championship lets a random new person join before the championship?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the year, everyone's done their work. The mathletes are happening, and she gets to just join the state championship team. Yeah. No. Let's stop it.
No,
this is just absurd. Again, this is real life versus, it works for the movie. But then, like, that happens to be the night of the spring fling. Like, okay. Like,
coordinate your schedules better.
What are we doing here?
But I do like the fact that other team is like, we picked the girl.
We want the girl, too. Right, yeah.
It's so great.
Yep. I don't have any other thoughts.
So when you saw this, would you have bet good money on who would have the bigger and more established career? Lindsay Lohan or Rachel McAdams? Right?
Yeah. Or what's her face who plays the dumb girl?
Oh gosh, the blonde girl.
The blonde girl. She's had a better career than Lohan has since that.
Gosh, what is her name?
Yeah.
Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah, Amanda Seyfried's had a better career than Lohan. I mean, even there.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I must say it was really jarring to watch Doctor Strange with the kids the night before watching again Mean Girls. Be like, oh, we're like 20 years apart, and it's a very different experience.
Totally.
With Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, because Rachel McAdams, she also has her same face.
She does.
That helps. Although I would say, Lohan, did you notice the black spot on her lip?
Yeah. It was weird.
I was like, is that a thing?
Yeah, it's like a mole on
your lip. You have a dead thing on your lip? Like, I don't want to, by any means judge people's appearance at all. Like, that's not my goal. But about halfway through, I thought it was in that scene. And then the rest of the movie, I was like, you got a black spot on your lip, dude. Did nobody want to just buzz that thing off?
Let's take care of it.
Yeah, no, I don't understand.
It's good.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. So with our reactions out of the way, that leads us into our next segment that we call The Verdict.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury
This
decide.
is pretty much exactly how it sounds. Each of us takes a minute or two to put a cap on our reviews, give a rating, and whether or not the film holds up 2 decades later. I'll go first on this one.
Cool.
It is a little surprising that we are talking about Mean Girls 20 years on. I'm not sure if that is because of how good the film is versus how meh of a year 2004 was. But it has definitely stuck around in pop culture, and I am actually glad that we covered it.
Yep.
Mean Girls features a very witty script from Tina Fey, great supporting performances, and a star-making turn from McAdams, and is exactly what you want from a non-raunchy high school comedy. It's a feel-good movie in a lot of ways, Nothing controversial about it except maybe a little aggressive use of the R word.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I got 3.5 out of 5 stars from me, and I think it still holds up pretty well. And again, your target audience, like your wife and other people, and with the musical coming out right now, you have a lot of those people going back to it. I think it holds up pretty well.
I love that. I put an enjoyable teen comedy that mostly stands up 20 years later. Clearly, as they made a musical and movie about that musical recently.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if there are some totally unbelievable moments and elements that detract from its overall efforts, Tina Fey writes a funny coming-of-age story of a girl grappling with unfamiliar and new territory. And it's not surprising, honestly, overall, that it's so highly regarded by very, very many. If at times I felt like it was meh from a comedy standpoint. 3.5 out of 5 for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was one that I'm happy to have seen again, and overall, maybe we'll come back to. But it was a enjoyable rewatch.
Yeah, I agree. So we come now to our final segment, which is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
Where we search for trivia surrounding our subject film and try to stump the other. I kind of only have one.
Ooh, I have 2.
You have 2?
Well, 3.
Well, I kind of was like, I was kind of trying to think about, I couldn't quite get there. So I didn't, I was halfway through my research on it. But movies that were made into a musical that were then made into a movie.
A movie, the musical,
right? The producers did it, and there's a few others.
Color Purple, yeah.
Right. Yep. And so it's kind of like, how do you get there? But I couldn't quite get there in terms of a trivia. So I only have one.
Okay.
But it's pretty obscure. So I'm going to let you go first.
Can you guess Tina Fey's real name?
Oh my God. Can I guess it? Sure, I can guess. I don't know if I'll guess it right. Well, I mean, it's not Christina. That's too easy.
No.
Argentina.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know. What do you
it's Elizabeth Stamatina Fey.
Wow.
Right? I had no idea until yesterday that her real name is Elizabeth Stamatina Fey.
No. Wow.
Right? You're welcome.
Wow. All right, ask your second one.
2004 was clearly the breakout year for Rachel McAdams.
Yep.
Starring in Mean Girls and
The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Right.
That we'll watch later
next
this
month.
year. Yet she had her big screen debut in 2002 Rob Schneider body swapping movie.
Oh, is that the hot chick?
It is.
Yeah.
So bad.
Oh,
Yes.
of course it is. You
But
said Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
Lead.
Nice.
Rob
Yes.
Schneider can be funny as a supporter, but lead?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Nope, not good.
Nope.
But yeah, nice work.
Thank you. Okay. Here we go. All right, Tim. So
Okay.
Neil Flynn plays Katie's dad in this film.
Yep.
I think he's a pretty recognizable character actor.
Scrubs.
In particular for fans of Scrubs or The Middle.
Okay.
Or older baseball classics like Major League and Rookie of the Year.
Oh, God.
He's in both of those.
Wow.
But he actually has 2 very brief appearances in 2 of my all-time favorite films. One, a 1993 film starring Harrison Ford, and the other, a 1999 classic that we will be discussing later this year.
The Fugitive.
That is right. He is the transit cop.
Yes.
Because he yells Kimball.
That's right.
Kimball, which is
Kimball.
funny because it also comes in. It comes up in Scrubs, and they have a
that's
whole
so
storyline in
great.
Scrubs about him being a washed-up actor.
I love
So 1983,
that.
yeah. And in what 1999 film does he make a very brief appearance? And I guarantee you, don't even you know the film,
sure,
but yeah,
I cannot place it. What is it?
I didn't know this either until I went back and looked at it. In 1999, he is in Magnolia.
What?
Yes, he is right at the beginning when they talk about these things will happen. You know those old sort of clips or whatever.
Like 3 seconds.
And there's the man who lives on Greenberry Hill being murdered by 3 men of Greenberry and Hill. Yeah, he plays Daniel Hill.
I can't.
And I'll show it to you in a little bit because I had it up.
We will watch.
I had no idea. And fun fact, IMDb has him listed as Barry, not Hill, and he is abundantly Hill. He is Daniel Hill. I'll show you.
We can't wait.
Yeah. I was like, no,
All
okay,
right.
I
love that.
I love it.
That's good.
So
trivia.
obscure.
Whoa,
Random.
That's very good. Nice.
Yeah, one more?
I do. Amanda Seyfried has, she had her big screen debut in Mean Girls, which has also been adapted.
Side note, I'm sorry. She's actually pretty funny in this movie.
She's very good.
She does a good job.
Like,
of being
very,
that
very
idiot.
nice.
Yep.
Which, as we mentioned, has been adapted into a stage musical and recently back into the big screen with that musical adaptation. Yet Amanda herself has starred in 3 movie musicals. Can you name the 2008, 2012, and 2018 musicals in which she has performed?
I mean, Les Mis is obvious.
Yep. Set.
Boy, 2008 and 2018.
Yep.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
There you go.
Yeah. And then 2008. Is that both of them? No, it's not Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia, Here I Go Again.
There you go.
I was like, yes, both of them.
Yep.
I mean, thankfully, I haven't watched either one of them, but so she's in both of them.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Nice work.
Thank you. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our happy hour episode on Mean Girls. Make sure to go back and listen to our recent episodes on your favorite streaming platforms. Watch out for upcoming episodes on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and The Notebook. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on the internet via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com for all things 20/4. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks. Speaking of Superbad.
Ah, did you?
Number one? Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
An absolute trash demon of a human being. Yes. I want to punch her in the face every time she opens her mouth. Very meta.
Oh, it's happening. I got a penis. Overall,